ahead to Georgia Tech football games, frozen dinners, 3-page calculus problems, and new financial obligations. But I have always believed that the past colors the future. So try as I might, I found myself looking ahead, but also marveling at how I got there. What repeatedly comes to mind occurred 4 years ago when I embarked on what was then a seemingly impossible new journey. I had entered the doors of St. Francis for the first time. I knew I would be facing difficult teachers and potentially lethal peer pressure, and I was kind of ready for that. What I wasn't ready for left me petrified and insecure. I'm referring to, of course, a small metal door and a tiny, cold combination lock. I find it quite ironic now that my first memory of high school takes the form of a locked door. But at the time, I just wanted to blast the thing open. I turned it right, I turned it left, I flipped it over, I banged it, I cursed it, and I even spoke kindly to it, and hoped that it would eventually open before the homeroom bell rang. And then, just as I figured my high school career was over, before it had begun, Mrs. Petter strolled by and meticulously turned the dial until the lock unlatched. Like most children, I found it easier for the first week to let someone else open my locker for me. But I soon realized that Mrs. Petter would not be following me to college, or my wedding, or my job. So I had better learn to open most locks myself. I'm pretty sure that if I asked Miss Petter today, however, to unlock my lock, she would happily do so. The point I came to see is that life is full of locked doors that would require my persistence and creativity. Many years later, I would discover a quote from one of my personal heroes, Albert Einstein, and since he's accomplished more than I have for now, I'll use his words to explain what I now know about locked doors. He said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reasoning for existing. The mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous script of reality, which one cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates those. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity." If AP Literature taught me nothing else, it did teach me to recognize and analyze metaphors. That thin door is actually quite thick in a symbolic sense, and it showed up many more times in my high school career. I recall second semester honors calculus with Miss Swingle. Why she's not teaching college, I'm not quite sure, but once again I stood in front of the locked door. The Chapter 5 test was quickly approaching, and I was absolutely confused out of my mind. Instead of looking for Mrs. Petter again, I spent hours reworking various problems which left me exhausted. Persistence and creativity, however, left me feeling confident and able to achieve an A on my exam. Another instance that I faced was a locked door which occurred when Mrs. Gold began organizing the Italy trip. Initially, I had my fears about going, as I would be out of the country for 10 days, leaving my girlfriend behind. After much pressure from Mrs. Cambria and Mrs. Gold to sign up, I agreed to go. It just so happened that the Italy trip would turn out to be a very exciting and remarkable experience, even if it did take 2 hours to go through customs and immigration. Mrs. Gold's hard work and persistence inadvertently allowed me to experience cheesecake gelato, 2-hour walks up the narrow paths of Capri, and the wonders of Florence and Pompeii. And my own curiosity about ancient Roman civilization rewarded me the trip of a lifetime. For me, it was calculus and Capri, but we've all faced locked doors, troublesome relationships, difficult decisions, tedious assignments, financial difficulties, or emotional dilemmas. Each time we wondered, we contemplated, we were curious, like Albert Einstein said, and the door opened. And so, when we look ahead, we're bound to have some trepidation about all the locked doors. What our past should have taught us is that we each have that master key which will unlock any door before us. I really do believe that we each have the power to unlock the doors that stand in our way. But I believe equally that that power has been nurtured by those around us. So before I leave this morning, I would like to thank those who have encouraged our curiosity. Parents and family, Thank you for your unconditional love and support while we navigate through the deep waters of higher education. Teachers and staff, your hard work and passion have allowed us to succeed within and beyond the confines of St. Francis. And finally, graduates, I would like to leave you with a simple and sincere wish. I hope your dreams take you to the corners of your smiles, to the highest of your hopes, to the windows of your opportunities, and to the most special places your heart has ever known.